In the previous video, we recorded about Google Cloud example, which about storage, which was about the Firebase storage. Now we will talk about improvements to the function of the last video. Then we'll talk about a new topic, which is the PubSub event. All right. So in the last video, we read this line. It says in the next section we are going to look at PubSub trigger in Google Cloud Console to learn how to take our Google Cloud projects to view them and execute them using Firebase. So before we go to that, PubSub trigger in the next section, there is a small section about improving the last example, the Firebase trigger example. So how to improve it? Improve by separating logic and utilizing serverless framework. So pay attention to the improvement, because in real life these are really critical. Separate AWS logic from handler. First, use environment variables for AWS specific logic, or move AWS logic to a shared folder. This is the first thing. The second thing, create a service folder that is specific to AWS and serves Dynamo data, right? The next one is, so by two things, by separating logic and utilizing serverless framework. So the separating logic is these 2 points that we just read, and utilizing serverless framework is used by these 2 steps that we are going to read now. Utilize the serverless framework by following instructions for AWS setup on serverless framework, and by developing and deploying a function using serverless framework instead of manually. The code for both of these improvements on the project can be found on this link here on the GitHub. And that was done, the improvement section. Now we will talk about the PubSub event. In this serverless function, we are going to we are going to create a function that is triggered by a PubSub event. The question that raises, what is Google Cloud PubSub? What is that PubSub? We will answer this in the next section. Let's read this line first. We will create this function in the Google Cloud Console and will then import the project to Firebase to test it and view the logs. So this is done. The question is, what is the Google Cloud PubSub? What is the PubSub from Google? Google Cloud PubSub provides a scalable, flexible, and reliable message-oriented middleware. Now we came to some awkward or new definition or word called middleware. Again, what is Google Cloud PubSub? It provides scalable, expandable, flexible, it has the flexibility, and reliable, so it's really reliable and dependable, right? Message-oriented, it's a message-oriented middleware. It provides many asynchronous messaging that decouples senders and receivers. That middleware, which is called PubSub, it provides many-to-many asynchronous, not synchronous, asynchronous with AA at the beginning, all right? Asynchronous messaging that decouples senders and receivers. It offers highly available, it means reliable, right? Communication between independently written applications. So it's called middleware because it works with independently written applications. This is really useful. Google provides several common scenarios that exemplify use cases for the PubSub services. These scenarios include, so example or common scenarios include the following. We will read the titles. Balancing workloads in network clusters in load balancers, implementing asynchronous workflows, right? Asynchronous workflows. And distributing event notifications, and refreshing distributed caches, refreshing distributed caches, and logging to multiple systems, and data streaming from various processes or devices, That's really important, streaming. And reliable environment. All these are what are common scenarios for using PubSub service. Each one of this deserve 10 minutes stop and thinking, right? Deeply. The main concept in PubSub include the publisher, the message, topic, subscription, and subscriber. So the publisher creates a message that is posted to a topic with a series of subscriptions that all receive the message. Publisher, message, topic, message storage, subscription, message, subscriber, acknowledge, and the cloud pops up in this part, middleware. The topic, the subscription, the message storage. Figure 532, the one that we just looked at, illustrates how these components work together to create a unified message flow. The following describes each of the resources used in the model: the topic, the subscription, the message, and the message attribute. It is important to understand these concepts before jumping to the creation of our serverless function, so it's important to go through that. The topic and named resource to which messages are sent by publisher. Subscription and named resource representing the stream of messages from a single specific topic to be delivered to the subscribing applications. The message, the combination of data and optional attributes that a publisher sends to a topic and it eventually delivered to subscribers. The message attribute, a key value pair that a publisher can define for a message. Google Cloud has a concept of background functions, which operate differently than HTTP functions. We use background functions whenever we want our functions to be invoked directly via a message on a Google Cloud PubSub topic or change in Google Cloud Storage bucket. The background functions take two parameters, an event and an optional callback function. Background function take how many parameters? Only two. What are they? The first one, an event. What's the second? The second is optional. What is it called? It's called callback function. Creating our PubSub function. We are going to go ahead and to create our PubSub trigger function. First, we need to create PubSub topic that we want to trigger our function. From the Google console, navigate to the PubSub service and click create a topic. We are going to create a topic called alert service. This will be the topic that triggers our function. So the topic will be alert service. Alert service. After this is done in the Google Cloud platform under PubSub topics, create a topic, right? After we have created our topic, we are going to navigate back to the Google Cloud Functions panel and create a new function within our project. We will make our trigger the PubSub topic we just created. So what will be the trigger? It's the PubSub token, topic we just created. The test functionality of using the PubSub topic we will initialize to test functionality. We will initialize our function with the provided Google Cloud template. This simply writes the event to the log, just like this, right? When we go back to our PubSub topic, we can click publish message, write message, and send it to our topic. So we will click publish message, then we write it, then send it. If all goes as planned, we can view our message in our log in Google Cloud. When we get success response, import our project into the Firebase console. Once it succeeds, import it to the Firebase console. To do this is how to import it, right? You can then view the PubSub function in the Functions tab. You should see the topic alert service as a trigger and the execution that you just invoked. If you click on the logs, you will see the logs for that PubSub invocation we just created. When we are going to add our function, we are now going to add our function. So it does a little more than just logging to the console. Go ahead and do another Firebase initialization in your project folder where your index.js file is stored. When prompted to select a project, select the Google project we have been developing in. Now when we get a request through our topic, we want to store it in the alerts table in our real-time database. The following code illustrates how we will handle the incoming request. Deploy this code using the Firebase deploy command in your terminal. We went through that in the previous video. So to be able to implement this video, you have to watch the previous one. They are numbered in sequence. We can then, by the way, the playlist contains a full book. In this Let's Scan Books channel, the playlist is dedicated. Each playlist contains a full series for a full book. So if you see 3 playlists, these are 3 books. 4 playlists, 4 books, just like that. And if you have a full understanding, you go through the playlist from the beginning till the end, and you can increase the speed if I'm talking slowly. Right? We can then test this functionality by going back to our PubSub topic and sending a message. Our function is looking for a JSON body with an alert field. So the request will look like figure 534, just like this. Message called alert. We are in the PubSub, right? You should be able to track the progress of the function by looking at the logs in the Firebase environment. You can also track this in the Google Cloud Functions environment. Our function was renamed to subscribe, and you can see its invocation under function details. Upon success, the alert that we send along with the PubSub will appear under the alerts in the real-time database. We now have a function that is hosted in Google Cloud and also accessed by Firebase. You can view logging and triggering in both environments and can easily update and deploy a function, so it is accessible by both consoles. The purpose of this exercise was to show this communication between functions and to show how to access cloud triggers and have them affect a Firebase database. Improving our serverless function. Improving by integrating with our previous application. Add the PubSub function to our original index.js file associated with the Firebase. 1. Use the same logic we used for our storage trigger and add our PubSub function to the index.js in our HTTP function to be deployed together. This will keep all our functions together as one application. Second improvement is deploy the project as a Google Cloud project. Host all the projects under Google Cloud and import the entire project to Firebase instead of having them stored separately. Conclusion. This chapter, Google Cloud chapter, in this chapter, we explored several serverless applications with Google Cloud functions. We saw differences between Google Cloud, AWS, and Azure. We also learned the basic of Google Cloud, including navigating the console, configuring functions, establishing triggers, such as HTTP and background triggers, as well as some other popular integrated services like Firebase. At this point, you have experience building functions with 3 different cloud providers: AWS from Amazon, Azure from Microsoft, and Google Cloud from Google. You should be able to differentiate between the providers and have a better understanding of the pros and cons of each. We have also explored several ways to apply serverless architecture. Some applications were more personal and others served actual business cases. The code for this section can also be found in the GitHub at this link. All right. In the next chapter, which will be in the next video, we will explore cloud agnostic solutions. Agnostic solutions to serverless applications. We will use knowledge from previous chapters to create the solution. See you in the next chapter.